Hello there and welcome to the EDC Empire. Today we'll be taking a look at the DPx HEST F Leggaro, which means light in Italian. The Leggaro is designed by DPx and comes from Italy. The Leggaro has a frame lock and can mainly be deployed with three different options. So you've got your traditional thumb studs, your flipper tab, and then also this blade notch here, which can be used to deploy it as you're taking it out of your pants when you're taking it out. And it's kind of a version of the Emerson Wave, a little bit less good, but it can work. I've definitely found the thumb stud and flipper tab to be more consistent though. The Leggaro is running on bearings, and the blade is made of Bohler M390 with this matte black PVD coating. It's in a drop point shape and it is fully flat ground. And the handles are made of titanium, and this particular model is an anodized bronze with this diamond texturing. The overall length of the Leggaro when it's open is 7.79 inches, and when it's closed is 4.51 inches. The overall depth when folded at the widest point of just the body, not including this flipper tab, is 1.39 inches, and including the flipper tab is 1.59 inches. The width around the pivot is 0.5 inches, so compared to your Spyderco Tenacious, which also has a width around the pivot of 0.5 inches, you can see it is pretty much spot on. Getting into some size comparisons, we have the Spyderco Tenacious as well as the Benchmade Bug Out. And what we can see comparing these three knives is that they're all pretty similar in length. The proportions of the Tenacious and the Leggaro are most similar, but the Bug Out definitely compares in length as well. We also have the QSP Penguin and the Civivi Lézard, and what we can see here is that the Lézard is obviously more comparable in length to the Leggaro, but the Penguin, which might be more of a traditional EDC size, is a bit smaller. And on the Leggaro, we have a blade length of 3.28 inches and an edge length of 3.15 inches. Then we have a blade stock of 0.19 inches, so a bit thicker than average. And finally, we have a weight on the Leggaro of 4.625 ounces, so our blade to weight ratio is not the best, but for such a weighty blade, it's definitely not bad either. That titanium really helps to lighten it and kind of alludes to its name, the Leggaro, which again means light in Italian. So it's got some really cool history. That's all I'll touch on for now, but you can totally look it up. There are plenty of resources on DPx's website and all over the internet. So overall, I would say that the Leggaro has really great action. It's very smooth, like whatever deployment method you're using, flipper, thumb studs. I would say it's much more smooth than the other bearing knives in this price range. That's mostly from the IKBS bearings, which are essentially free rolling bearings in a track. So that gives it a little bit of a leg up in the smoothness aspect. It's advertised as the custom IKBS bearings. So feel free to look into that a little bit more, but that's how that is. The detent, I would say, is a little bit more well suited for using the thumb studs rather than the flipper. It definitely balances that deployment out better. The flipper is kind of fun when you can get it to work, but I think this knife would have been just as good without it. You can kind of get the flipper to work after fiddling around with it. The best way to do it is kind of with the light switch method, where you just flick down on it like you would a light switch and it comes right out, but that's awkward and not as satisfying as one where a flipper tab was more successful in its design. The coating on the blade both looks nice and has been durable in all the times I've used it. I would say there's a pretty even grind on the edge. There might be a little bit of a smile down towards the choil here, but no complaints really. The blade stock is quite thick. Like I mentioned earlier, it's 0.19 inches. So it actually comes down to a pretty thin and workable edge, which has been great. I've broke down quite a few boxes and the Leggaro performed well. It's started at quite a sharp edge when before I was breaking down the boxes, and I really only broke down maybe 3 or 4, but the edge held enough to still be a good working edge. But just with how quickly it got noticeably worse, 3 to 4 boxes is not a lot. So I would say the heat treat on this M390 is not that great, definitely compared to other M390 bladed knives in this price range. The Leggaro, if you haven't already noticed, has a couple different additional features. So one of those is on this jimping up here. There are 3 different gauges of wire strippers. There's also a bottle opener in this blade notch here, which can be used as a third deployment method. And there's a glass breaker on the end that's made of a PVD coated tungsten carbide. And if you want to remove it, because not everyone needs a glass breaker all the time, you can remove it with a wrench at this pocket clip mounting area. The wire stripper functions, it's not the best wire stripper probably. I mean, at that point you could use a multi-tool that you have on you, or even just the blade on this knife, but it is kind of cool to have that option if you want it, and it's there as jimping as well, so it's definitely not going to waste. And the jimping up here, the placement and the size, the texture is fantastic for that. The titanium with the diamond texturing both looks really cool and also adds some grip to the handle. It's not slippery to hold at all, so that's been really nice, especially with this more sturdy knife. If you have looked up the Leggaro at all, you might have noticed that in pictures online, the handles don't look quite as bronze as they do on camera here. But don't worry, after some use, the anodization turns to more of this yellowy, bronzy color that you would expect. And that's mainly from not just time like a patina, but from the oil on your hands, like rubbing it off as you use the knife. So don't worry about that. If it looks more brown, it will start to look like more of this really pretty bronzy color over time. The pocket clip is reversible for both the right and left hand carry. And one thing I've noticed is if you have the pocket clip on the right hand side, but you hold the knife with your left hand, my ring finger actually sits really nicely, almost perfectly, in the divot on the pocket clip, and that makes this really comfortable to hold. I don't think I've had that experience with any or very many other knives, so that's really cool to see. I don't know if it was intentional or a happy accident, but it's really comfortable either way. And when I'm holding it normally in my right hand with it on the right hand side, it's not poking me or in the way, so no complaints with the pocket clip there. Additionally, there's this hexagonal lanyard hole here, and as well as being a lanyard hole, it can be used as a hex driver, so just another additional feature that the Leggaro has to offer. The only thing I would say that's especially uncomfortable for holding the Leggaro is that there's almost a finger choil up here past the flipper tab where the thumb stud and lock bar cutout is, but it isn't quite big enough to use as a choil. It just makes it awkward to hold in certain circumstances. So that's the only thing that's been a little bit awkward, but really overall the experience is good. This version of the HEST F, the Leggaro, goes for about $240, so really not too bad for the titanium and the M390, but it is a little bit more of a specialized buy if you are interested. I do definitely recommend the Leggaro if it's more specialized features and the overall design seem like something that would be useful to you. Its fantastic performance combined with additional useful features combined with the sleek look make it an awesome knife that will be sure to serve you well. So if you are interested, I would definitely check it out. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing. And if you own the Leggaro or any other of the HEST F series by DPx, please comment down below to let us know what you think of it. Thanks for watching.